Montana Attorney General Austin Knudsen joins me now to talk about the issue of elder abuse and what the Montana DOJ is doing to combat this issue. Thanks so much for joining us, sir. We appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks.
Let's talk about the magnitude of elder abuse. I guess right now it's considered a global issue. Can you talk about that, the magnitude?
Yeah, it absolutely is. Well, look, it's the digital age. We see a lot of people getting targeted by different internet scams, phone scams, but here's where the rubber meets the road in Montana. We're an aging state. We're one of the older states, particularly in the West. Roughly 20% of our state population is over the age of 65, and we see a lot of these scams get reported to the Montana Department of Justice through my office. So this has been a really big priority for us. We've really tried to nail down on this. We've turned this into a criminal matter. We've actually, at the State Department of Justice, stood up an elder justice unit. We went to the legislature. We got a dedicated criminal investigator, a dedicated criminal prosecutor, and we're really focusing on elder justice, on these scams, and getting justice for these Montanans.
So it's primarily scams that you're focused on? Because I know some folks at home might think elder abuse, we're talking about protecting folks in a nursing home, so to speak. Is it primarily financial issues and scams that you guys are focusing on?
No, you're exactly right. I mean, this is a crime that comes in a couple different ways. I mean, certainly we do see a lot of scams, particularly now in this digital age, but you're absolutely right. I mean, elder abuse can take the form of psychological abuse. It can take the form of physical abuse, and sometimes some other not so pleasant forms of abuse. And so we handle all those. We travel the state. We're helping county attorneys. We're helping local law enforcement because we really want to treat this like the global criminal problem that it is.
Okay, well, switching gears, while you're here in Montana, you're also going to be going to Hamilton, that is, to discuss the past legislative session. Talk about what's going to be on the agenda down in Hamilton and who you'll be meeting with and what you'll be discussing.
Well, we'll have a handful of legislators there, but primarily this is going to be on Representative Kathy Love. Representative Love from down there in the Bitterroot Valley, she carried a couple of really important pieces of legislation for my office this last session. We drafted them. They primarily had to do with ICAC, and ICAC stands for Internet Crimes Against Children. Again, a huge, booming, growing area, a tremendous problem, and even here in Montana, and I really have to stress that. These are issues that we do see in Montana. I've got dedicated agents at the Montana Division of Criminal Investigation that we take these cases very seriously. But Representative Love carried a couple pieces of legislation, House Bill 82. What we were seeing in a lot of these prosecutions was where law enforcement has conducted a sting operation. And under our old laws, we had defense attorneys coming in and arguing, well, you can't prosecute my client for targeting children because it wasn't actually a child. It was a police officer impersonating a child. Well, that was a problem for us. So we went to the legislature, we tightened that up. We can now use sting operations. You can be prosecuted for child abuse or grooming. We added grooming into our state statutes. That was something that didn't exist before House Bill 82. And just put your head around that for a minute. That means we were in a situation where even if we'd identified a predator, we had to wait until that predator victimized a child before we could do something about it. No longer the case. We've got a tight statute that allows us to go after the activities of grooming, because we see a lot of grooming activity, especially online. So tremendous lift for us in House Bill 82 from Representative Kathy Love.
Another issue you've been working on lately, gun rights, and you were recently handed a favorable unanimous ruling from the United States Supreme Court, had to do with gun rights and a gun manufacturer's case. What happened and what are the implications going forward?
Well, this was less about gun rights than it was protecting American industry. So what you had happen here is the country of Mexico sued American gun manufacturers. Go down the list, several American gun manufacturers. But Mexico sued our American manufacturing, claiming that we were somehow to blame for their extraordinary cartel violence in Mexico. The problem with that is we have federal statutes on the books that say these manufacturers are not liable. They're making a lawful product. I dare you to find me a more highly regulated product than the firearms manufacturer industry in America. And that was what we tried to point out, is that Mexico had no standing. They're a foreign country. You don't get to come into our courts sue our manufacturing sector over your drug violence and cartel problems and corruption, frankly, in Mexico. So we're very, very excited that we got a unanimous ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court, even from a lot of the justices that we didn't think would agree with us. But ultimately, we prevailed. Montana, we led that amicus effort, and I was glad to do so. So yeah, big win.
Well, going forward in 2025, we're almost out of time, but quickly, what are your priorities going forward?
Crime and drugs remain my top priorities. Look, I'm a former county attorney. I'm a former prosecutor. We've still got a tremendous cartel drug problem here in Montana. We're seeing records amount of methamphetamine, cocaine's making a comeback, heroin making a comeback. I will say it is encouraging to see fentanyl now for the first time in about 4 years start to taper off, and our seizures are going down. I think that's because we've got President Trump actually controlling the southern border now, and we've stemmed that flow. But that by no means means that we're done. We've still got a lot of illicit drugs in Montana.
All right, Attorney General Austin Knudsen, thank you so much. Thank you so much, that is, for stopping by Montana this morning and sharing with us your priorities.
You bet. Glad to do it. Thanks.
All right.